if you have a half forward who's playing the half forward role well in the VFL, should you then play said half forward in the half forward role at AFL level? It's almost like a tongue twister, isn't it? Or would you persist playing midfielders as a half forward at AFL level and hope that they just make it work? I'm surprised it's taken me this long to make a video on Jasper Alger, but here it is, my man, Jasper Alger. Seriously though, one thing that's been a little bit concerning is for this season so far at AFL level, we've demonstrated that our reluctance to play a specific half forward in a half forward role. And what we do instead, we'll play someone like Tyler Sonsie at half forward or Jack Ross at half forward. Now, granted, Jack Ross has been getting some midfield minutes as well. That has deteriorated since Presti's come back in. McCall have seen him doing some good things in the midfield as well. So his midfield time has kind of dropped a bit, and his performances as a half forward hasn't really, I don't know, it hasn't sparked, it hasn't done a lot for us. And neither has Sonsie's, and it's pretty well documented that Sonsie struggles as a half forward. A great inside midfielder at VFL level. We don't play him there at AFL level. And between Ross and Sonsie, they kind of just sometimes seem lost playing that role. And that can have an impact on the forward line and the connection and the cohesion from up the ground, and just not knowing the right spots to be as a natural forward would have. And then you look at the VFL form. Now, I understand Jasper is, I think, the youngest player in the competition, given his birthday was late December. And he's only played 10 VFL games. So I'm definitely aware of the experience difference between Alger and Ross and Sonsie and what I'm kind of suggesting. But when you look at the stats for Jasper Alger over the course of his 10 games so far in the VFL, we'll just go through them quickly. So he's had 28 scoring shots in 10 games and kicked 15 goals and 13 behinds. The Swans last week, he kicked 3 goals too. The Giants, he was goal and behindless. The Essendon game, 2 goals, 1. North Melbourne, 1 goal, 1. Box Hill, 3 goals. The Casey game, 3 behinds. That was windy. That was just a shocking game all round. That brings back some PTSD. Frankston, 2 goals. Brisbane, 1 goal, 4 behinds. Sandringham, 2 goals, 1 behind. Coburg, 1 goal, 1 behind. So I guess what I'm getting at is Jasper's got a really good forward craft. And despite being quite young, he's not a genuine small forward. So his pressure acts and defensive side of the game are probably going to be the points that all of you make against the case for Jasper playing. And I get it. Whereas Steely Green or someone like that, or Ross, is probably doing the defensive stuff a little bit better. But when does it get to a point in time where we need to value actually hitting the scoreboard and actually trying to get some shots at goal from our small forwards or a medium forward, for example? If you watch the Sydney game on the weekend in the VFL, Jasper was taking some ripper contested marks against players much taller than him. He seriously plays taller than what he is. Kicked a wonderful goal from 45 metres out on the boundary line. Was getting more involved up the ground as well. He's actually racked up a couple of clearances in recent times too from stoppages. And he's showing to be a really good link-up player. So I guess what I'm just wondering out loud is, are we better suited to play the guy who knows how to play half forward as the half forward? It seems logical. It seems to make sense. But the experience and the amount of games played is probably holding him back, and maybe we're valuing more of the defensive side of things. I know I've mentioned Ross and Sonsie as the examples, but maybe in reality he's competing against Steely Green because Ross can do some midfield work. Sonsie can as well, but I know we don't do it. But Ross in particular can have another role in the side. So even if it's against Steely Green, now Steely obviously had a reasonable game against the Giants, kicked 2 goals, and that was the first time he'd hit the scoreboard since Anzac Eve. So that's a long time between drinks. And I know externally from the club, a lot of supporters were maybe wondering how long he could hold on to his spot for, but he was doing some good defensive work and pressure acts and things like that, which are valuable. I don't want to diminish the value of those, but I feel like we have too many of the small forwards are doing the same thing. Like Ryan Mansell's great at pressure acts. He'll sometimes hit the scoreboard too, but you've got Mansell and Green really good at pressuring. No one's really hitting the scoreboard. Seth Campbell's probably the most balanced out of the lot, who does hit the scoreboard semi-frequently and does defend and chase hard as well. So do we need to find or change the balance a bit and get someone like a Jasper Alger in who is a bit more offensively minded, who does generate shots at goal quite frequently, like almost every game bar one in the VFL so far. As the youngest player in the competition, he's generating shots at goal. I just think there's some value to be had there. In a time where we're trying to kick above 80 points, try and get towards 90 points, we're trying to keep ourselves into games or get ourselves over the lines in games that we're close in. We just might be missing a trick there by actually playing the person who can play the half-forward role specifically. He understands it. He plays it pretty well for a young kid, to be honest. And I think what I'm trying to say is it's Jasper Alger time. We've got to get him in. He's got great goal sense, marks well, and as Caesar on Punt Road End said from one of his very early training reports, it's hard to see how Jasper's not going to make it as an AFL player. And I know that's an extraordinary amount of pressure or a comment to make, but I agree with Caesar. I see a lot of great AFL traits in Jasper, and I know he's going to get his chance eventually, but I just think in the back half of the season, it's a good time to introduce him, get him in amongst. I would like to see some wholesale changes up forward. If we can chuck Blythe down there to give it another aerial bit of power, and put Jasper down there to help do some roving and some more sneaky goals and some another sort of third marking option, I think that changes our forward line dynamic quite substantially and hopefully for the better. And it'll hopefully give us a chance to stay in some more games and maybe even pinch a few. But let me know what you think about Jasper Alger in the comments below. I make no apologies. I'm a huge fan of his, and I want him in the team ASAP. Does it make sense, though? Is what I'm saying got validation to it, or does he need to do more work on his defensive side? I think we're starting to see it. Or do you want to try and get that offensive aspect into our forward line ASAP? Keen to hear your thoughts below. And until the next one, go Tigers. Get him in the team. Get him in.